towards the next keynote speaker. The topic is the power of employer branding presented by Apna. Am I right? Yes. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a great lunch. Maza aaya khane mein? है ना? This is the part of the script, I'm so sorry. And in today's hiring world, talent doesn't look for a job, it looks for a brand. What gets seen, gets chosen, visibility drives credibility, and credibility sells. The employer branding is like a dating. If you don't look good online, talent won't even show up for a coffee, guys. So that's the power of employer branding. If you're invisible, you might as well not exist. So to dive deep into the crucial topic, I am thrilled to welcome our next keynote speaker. Come on, everybody. Not you'll be not joining now. I think we're going to be having your video, hai na? I hope, yeah. So people, next keynote speaker with a thunderous round of applause. Come on, everybody. Mr. Sarang Brahme. Can we have a big hand for him? We're going to be taking on the topic of power of employer branding to attract talent, presented by Apna.
Title partner Apna, ATS partner Jobidis, and staffing partner Talisman. Some leaders don't just represent their organizations, they become the voice of their people. And today, we are honored to welcome one such leader to the stage. We are thrilled to have with us Mr. Sarang Brahme, our keynote speaker at the SRIF HR Summit 2025, presented by title partner Apna. With over 20 years of experience at the intersection of digital marketing and recruitment, Sarang has craved a niche as one of the most passionate voices in the employer and talent branding. Currently heading employer branding at GoDaddy India, Sarang has previously worked his magic with brands like Capgemini and ShareChat, transforming the workplace cultures into powerful stories through EVP development, content marketing, employee advocacy, and social media strategy. But Sarang's impact goes beyond the boardroom. As the founding member of Recruiting Adda, a 7,000-strong recruiter network, and the Employer Brand Collective, a community of 100-plus leaders, he is helping shape the future of employer branding across India. Today, he is here to share his insights on the topic, the power of employer branding to attract talent.
All right, come on, big hand, big hand, big hand. Come on, everybody. It's time for the power of employer branding. We've got Mr. Sarang Brahme. Thunderous round of applause. Come on, that's not how we do, right? That's not how we do. We've got the keynote. Can I see the people sitting behind clapping? Come on, everybody. So, sir, over to you.
Thank you.
A man coming all the way from Pune, man, we can definitely show some.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. I know it's very difficult task that Sarla ma'am has given to me after lunch, so I hope next 45 minutes I keep you awake, keep you engaged and interested in this topic. So, employer branding topic with a room full of recruiters, staffing, and other educators is going to be interesting, right? So, before we start with the presentation, how many of you have heard of employer branding before? Okay, how many of you have not heard of employer branding before coming to this session? Okay, even in 2025, this problem's still there. I remember when, so I had arranged marriage. This is way back in 2009. And when they shared my bio, typical wo bio jata hai, shadi.com and all of that, one of the rishtas that they heard and saw my bio and say, recruitment and employer branding. And they were like, first thing that they did is actually went to Google and search recruitment or employer branding hota kya hai, and how does this guy what actually does for a living, right? From that time till today, while employer branding has evolved, employer branding has got more recognition, but I think there's still that lot to be done. So before I start with my presentation, I just want to understand your expectations. So, can you just raise your hand and maybe talk about what do you want to know from today's session? So I can ensure that these 45 minutes are valuable for you, because employer branding, recruitment marketing is a topic that I can talk for 2 hours and get you guys bored to death, but I don't want to do that. So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys want, what do you guys expect from this session? Branding, positioning, and content. Okay, anyone else? How to attract Gen Z people, okay? Yeah. Okay, what is the shift that has happened from previous to now? Yes? Better social presence, right? Very nice. Reputation management. Yes? Branding? Blunders. Okay. I'll share a few. Yes? Measure the success. Okay, that's one question that I've been getting throughout my 20 years of career. How to measure success. Anyone else?
I'll be very specific here. I'm a recruiter, and I will be doing rather employer branding for my clients. Because when we talk candidates, sometimes they even don't know the client name we are talking about. So, what are the specific? What is the toolkit you would suggest to us wherein we take few things and they are attractive for?
That's a very, very good point, especially from the staffing perspective.
How do you build the competencies of your employees and give a meaningful work to each and everybody who is on the boards of your company?
Okay. To be honest, that is little beyond employer branding, but it is definitely related to employer branding. So I'll definitely talk a little bit about it. Sorry?
How do I get searched by potential clients?
So you're talking about your brand in a way, right? Your organization brand. Yes? Okay, cool. So one myth, and I think someone talked about what has changed, right? I think there was a time when employer branding was all about, and I know because I've worked in a large organization, that we are $20 billion company, we are conglomerate, we are a MNC, and that used to be the brand. You know, you've all heard these pitches or maybe about us section mein, that we are the leading organization into this. We have 50,000 employees. The big shift has happened is that is no more a brand. That is just a way to brag about yourself. And that bragging today doesn't work, right? In COVID and after COVID, one of the biggest employer branding companies that has seen the loss of the employer brand are those companies who are these big tech giants. So just by saying that we are a big organization doesn't really matter. What it is matter is your people. For me, employer brand is more like a talent branding. It is actually a brand of people in your organization and less of who you are as an organization, right? So just a small story, the guy that you see here, so this was a GoDaddy tech meetup that we did in February. This is one of our EVP, and we were talking about GoDaddy, what do we do, and stuff like that. Now that guy was actually one of the offered candidates. He had 3 offers, including GoDaddy. He was here to just to understand, ये GoDaddy करता क्या है? You know, everyone knows GoDaddy. How many of you know GoDaddy? Okay. Most of you might know GoDaddy as a domain company, right? That's exactly the same perception he had. And he was like, why GoDaddy is coming to India and why should I work for a domain selling organization? Now the presentation that he saw was more about how we are empowering our entrepreneurs, because we don't just sell domain, we actually transform the way they do business. All the small and medium organization, we have 20 million customers globally. And to his words, he said the only reason that I accepted the offer is the information that I got from our leaders about what the organization is all about and what are the opportunities. So in that talk, we talked about what is our culture, what are the business opportunities, what is the future of GoDaddy, and how you, as an engineering manager, he joined us as a senior engineering manager, help us to go from A to B. And today he joined us, last Monday he joined us, and he did other 2 offers. Now, in his head, he said that if I wouldn't have joined that meetup and got the information about GoDaddy, he would have just used GoDaddy's offer to negotiate with other companies, right? So this is one of the examples of what employer branding looks like. One other myth that I will directly talk about is employer branding is not just the content that you see on social media. That content is always doctored, that content is always monitored. The real employer brand stories actually happen when 2 people talk about your brand when your recruiters are not in the room, where your company people are not in the room, right? The conversation that you have on Chai Sutta, do you know what this or how good this organization is? The answers that you get is employer branding. Now to the other spectrum, what brand is not about? A lot of people think employer branding is smiling faces on career pages, great employee testimonials that you put on YouTube and make them viral, right? A lot of people ask me, how do you create viral videos? That's employer branding. How many of you see those life in XYZ company videos where an employee come in the morning, have a chai, coffee, have a great meal, go and play some things and stuff like that, right? Right? Has anyone seen those videos? That is not employer branding at all, because that does not really show a depth of the culture, the experiences. It just shows very upar ka cheez, which is what they get to do in their office. Now that has nothing to do with employer branding. The foosball tables, the table tennis tables has nothing to do with employer branding, right? Now, this is, I don't know whether you are able to see, but what I wanted to mention is that branding is not about capturing eyeballs. Branding is not about going viral. This is a email that someone shared with a digital media director yesterday, where what they're saying is that let's get more eyeballs by sponsoring in the times of war. And let's do a campaign because we are anyways getting a lot of eyeballs in India-Pakistan war. Let's use that, what you call moment marketing. You heard of this term? Right? And that's the pitch. This presents a unique window for brands to capture maximum eyeballs and drive impactful visibility. Let's do that. This is not branding. I mean, leave the employer branding part, but this is not branding. And that's the biggest difference between normal brands. Maybe some brands want to do it, but employer branding at the essence is about people, is about experiences, is about culture, right? And whether you are on the right side of it as a corporate or as a staffing agency, I strongly believe every one of you can play a role for building the perception. It is not just a recruiter's role. It is not just an employer branding person role. It is not just staffing partner role. It's a collective effort. Now, ये सब तो ठीक है, but कहना क्या चाहते हो? Now, what is employer branding? Now, there are 3 things that I want to very, clearly say. A lot of people mix these terms. Have you heard of recruitment marketing? Now, recruitment marketing, employer branding are very 2 different things in essence. A lot of time we see, अरे हमने job promote किया, that means we have done employer branding. right? That is not employer branding. Now, I don't want to go into bookish definitions, but employer brand essentially is what your employees talk or what candidates talk when you pitch the role of your client. And maybe not every time you actually share the client name, and you may or may not, but at least at the time of offer or the interview, they are building that perception. You know, I'll give you a very simple example. I used to work with a previous organization where they were undergoing a lot of layoffs. Now that's a terrible time to do employer branding. And you know, most of times we actually used to get offer declines even after doing so much of sales and pitching. Like we used to give them amazing compensation, that wasn't a problem, RSUs, everything. But do you know why they were not getting our offers, accepting our offers? Any guesses why they are not accepting the offers? Exactly, because for them the employer brand was not about what I am saying, what other people are saying. Others were telling them, please don't join this organization because they are laying off. So in that case, as an organization, do I own employer brand? No. That employer brand is owned by the candidates, by the employees. If the employees and candidates are not saying, so again, very simple example. You come and work with us because you will get opportunity to do innovative things. Same thing, you go to their Glassdoor page and people are saying, "Arey, at the end of the day, तुम्हें maintenance का job ही करना है." Now, can you find who they will trust? Will they trust you as a recruiter or will they trust a Glassdoor review? Exactly. Why do you think they will trust Glassdoor review? Sorry? They can relate to, right? But who is the better source of trusted information? Experienced employees. And that's why I said what I said, is employer brand is more about what your employees and candidates are saying and less about what you are saying. However, as a staffing partner or as an employer, you have to build that proactively. It doesn't happen on career sites. It doesn't happen on your first call. It happens consistently in the overall recruitment process. Now, just to talk about this, employer brand is a reputation. I think someone talked about reputation. It is what people talk behind your back about your organization. Just do one small little thing, whether it's about your client or your organization. Try and get insights what other people are talking about your company when you're not in the room. Now, the answer that you get is actually your employer brand. That is a reputation that either has already been built, आपको पता है या नहीं होगा, या you have actually made efforts to build that reputation. Now the question here is, are you or your client doing anything to build that employer brand, which is called employer branding, where you use marketing and communication tools, including social media, including meetups, including any other form of communication, including using your employees as brand ambassadors to build that reputation. That is employer branding. Recruitment marketing is leveraging all of that content, communication, and pushing your jobs and getting more leads. In a way, recruitment marketing is very similar to getting leads for sales, right? You have sales function में marketing lead generation का process होता है. That is exactly what recruitment marketing does for a recruiter. Now, obviously, sourcing help you to do it, but recruitment marketing help you to build that organically, right? Because of the reputation. Now, the question is whether people know your reputation or not. It's also about aligning the story, like at the end of it, what is the story that you are telling to your candidates? So if one thing that I want all of you to remember from my today's talk is really what is the story? Employer branding is nothing else but storytelling. It's the same tactic used by news channels today to build a narrative that they want to build, used by politicians, used by leaders to build that narrative. Either you build that narrative or your candidates will build on their own, right? And that's where it's important to aligning what's your org story to candidate experience. So let's say, again, very similar, right? We are an innovative organization and all of that. If you ask employees, they might just say that, yes, we do some innovative work, but that's only for 5% people. 95% people actually works on very legacy kind of projects. Now, doesn't mean that you are not doing innovative work. Then it's a wrong positioning and storytelling. You're not supposed to then talk about innovation. The other thing that's important is authenticity. So this is a LinkedIn survey that has happened. And if you're looking at it, what do candidates want? Most of them बोलेंगे यार उनको compensation ज़रूरत है. अच्छी salary दे दो, you become pay masters, and they will work for you. If you look at, most of people want work-life balance, equity, and then number 3 as compensation, attractive salary. And the point is, then are you talking about it? Do you want to attract these kind of people or no? Second, is it actually the reality? Like in one of my earlier organization, we never used to say that, like I think Apna talked about hustle. We used to talk about hustle, that at this organization, you will get an opportunity to hustle and go from 0 to 10 in like 2 years. But then we never used to talk about work-life balance. But if you are offering work-life balance, then that's something you should talk, because your candidates are looking at it. Your employer brand defines कि आपको कौन से candidates मिलेंगे. It should not be the other way around. You don't want to attract candidates जिनको work-life balance चाहिए, but your company doesn't offer, because that's not the work, that's not the business that you're into. Right? So always align your story of the organization with candidates. Whether, again, as a staffing partner, it's important that you get this story. What is your organization story? And I'll talk a little bit about it. And then convey the same to the candidates when you are hiring. If you're corporate, then you definitely should own that story. And again, reasons to leave an employer. The first one is to improve work-life balance, career growth, and third is compensation. So again, the myth about most people hire and leave for compensation is not right. They're either talking about culture, growth, or career. Now, these are the things that make employer branding such an important tool for hiring and attracting. Because if all that we do is what is your current salary, expected salary, when do you want to join, the very transactional conversation, we will never get into what really matters to candidates. Now, I just want to give you an example when we talk about work-life balance on how do companies actually communicate their value proposition. So this is an ad by Volvo where they talk about why work-life balance and flexibility is important part of their story. Can we have sound, please?
My parents, they think they know so much about time.
Now it's time.
They say it passes so fast. But sometimes it passes so slow. It just seems very complicated.
Last time.
Many times, time.
All the time.
How can they know so much about time? Or miss the most important thing? The time is now.
So essentially, they're talking about how do Volvo enable their employees to have time for their kids, to ensure that they prioritize what's really important for at least the new parents. Now, the the messages like these are important for a lot of candidates. And as a job as a recruiter, you need to understand what to pitch to which candidate. I'm not saying, as I said, you're not supposed to pitch work-life balance to everyone. No, maybe a fresher wants to really do more hustle, do a lot of other things, but this is where personalization comes into picture. And this is where there's a really good marriage between marketing and recruitment. In nutshell, recruitment is like marketing, where you have something to sell, you have a value proposition, and you have your target sellers or target customers. In this case, these are candidates, it's your culture, and it's your job and opportunity, right? So, steps to build employer branding. How do you really build employer brand? And I'm not saying here that you as a staffing partner or an HR manager or a recruiter will be able to build employer brand, but you can facilitate and drive. Because at the end of day, whether you build employer brand narrative or not, people already have something in their head. Your job is to ensure that's the right narrative. Now, how many have of here done any work around employer branding before? Okay. How many of you collaborated with your marketing teams to do some campaigns? Right. So, in a lot of companies, employer branding sits in marketing, and sometimes it sits with HR or recruitment, right? And also, there are a lot of staffing agencies which I'll talk about where they provide this as an add-on service. So even if you are a staffing agency and a recruitment partner, anything that you help your client to attract the right talent, which requires for you to build a right brand, is part of this build, right? First thing is to listen. Now again, whether you are a staffing partner or a recruiter, you need to listen to the employees of that company, right? How many of you have gone to a website called Grapevine or Blind? Have you heard of these websites? Okay, so if you know your client, go to a website called Grapevine or Blind. These are dark websites like Glassdoor, but you will find real challenges and problems what the employees are talking about, which are unmonitored, which are not really known by a lot of HR and recruiters. But if you go to these sites and just type your client name or your company name, you'll actually find a lot of conversation. Or Fishball. Anyone heard of Fishball? Yes. So these are Fishball type communities where people are actually talking about. If you even go to Reddit, anyone here who uses Reddit? Again, just search Reddit with your organization name or client name. The narrative that's coming out is what people are reading day in and day out. That's why they are not coming to your client. That's why they are not joining your organization. Now the question for you, whether that's your problem to solve or not, is that the right narrative? Is that the right marketing positioning of the company that you are selling? Because in a way you are representing that company, right? If tomorrow candidate asks, I've heard that actually they are restructuring and and they are in loss. What is the future for that company if I join? Now you need to have a really good story to balance that, or else you might just say, "Arey, theek hai, you come here and we'll see." No, now that's not really building trust. So first, you need to listen to what your candidates are saying about the organization that you are hiring for. Second, you need to build a narrative. And I'll give you a bit of examples how to build a narrative. How do you pitch your organization or your client to your candidates? And all of that needs to be built on these parameters: culture, authenticity, values, people, and business. How many of you heard of this term called employer value proposition, EVP? Again, I would really recommend you to just do some research about EVP. EVP is the same very similar to product value proposition. When you sell a product, what is your value proposition? It's exactly the same for employer value proposition. If I'm selling, if I'm hiring for one of the world's largest retailer, do I know what is their value proposition? That why candidates should join them? Not for compensation, we saw that, that's a third or fourth number. What are the other things? What are the, see today, because of social media, all the information is out there in public. Whether you or your employer cannot hide them. Or PR करके अरे नहीं नहीं ये सब झूठा चीज़ है, fake news है, all of that. Because people will ask each other. Today, that's why referrals are the biggest source of hire in most of cases. So you need to help build that narrative. So today, one of the projects that I'm working on, and I'm speaking with leaders and CXOs of GoDaddy, is to tell them, can you help me to create a pitch, one-pager pitch about why someone should join GoDaddy? Maybe that's something that you can help your clients to build. Do they have a one-pager? Why candidates should join? And again, that differs from tech candidate to a marketing person, to a HR person, to a sales person, because not everyone is looking at the same thing. And if you are able to help them to build that pitch, that's a value add that you're adding to your clients. That's something that maybe they haven't invested in, they haven't worked around, but that's something they will appreciate. Again, whether you are a staffing partner or even an internal HR or recruiter. So help them to build that pitch. Third, communicate. This is where social media comes in. This is where career pages comes in. This is where all the online, offline communication that you do within recruitment marketing comes in, right? Why, like today, Google really doesn't need to do first. They already have been communicating with their swanky offices, whether that was a thing, but more importantly, you know that if I join Google, I get to work on some of the complex, most important projects as an engineer, because that's the impact that Google has. Now think about your startup clients that no one has ever heard about, right? One of the things that I did in my past organization, when I started, I used to ask them the question, and you can do the same. When you do the first discovery call or first call with the candidate, ask them, have you heard about your client? If you are able to talk about them. And if they say, no, I never heard about it, that means they have employer branding problem. That means no one knows about them. That means there is more chance that they will not join your organization. That means you have to sell them more, right? And that's where, again, you as a partner comes in. Again, not by developing everything by yourself. There are marketing teams, marketing agencies, internal comms team that will help you to build it. But that's where I think the value that recruiters and recruitment leaders can build it. And lastly is measure. And I'll talk a little bit about it. But measurement is what is a business problem that you're solving for them? Is it retention? Is it acquisition? Is it attraction? Is it offer to join ratio? What is the problem that I'm having? So in my earlier organization, a lot of people used to take offers from us but never used to join. And then we found out a lot of our ex-employees are telling them in these blind forums, कि यार मत join करो वहाँ पे. And that was a huge problem for us. Because we used to spend so much of time convincing them to take an offer. They used to use it and buy and shopping and join somewhere else. That's not just a recruitment problem, that's an employer brand problem. For first thing, you need to identify what is the right problem. Employer branding is not going to solve everything of perception, but starts with identifying the right problem, right? But again, at the crux of it, everything is culture, authenticity, values, people, and business. If you got these things right, as a business partner, as a staffing partner, try and get as much of info about your business, about what kind of role. I'll again give a very simple example. I was working for a role which was for a new business unit in one of my earlier organizations. One of the first things that I did was to speak with a hiring manager and get a lot of information कि भाई ये बंदे आके तेरे business unit में क्या करेंगे? Can you just tell me a simple thing? No, they will work on Java, they will work on building application. No, वो छोड़ दे. Actually क्या करेंगे? किस चीज के लिए काम कर रहे हैं लोग? अरे they are actually working for KLM. Okay, KLM is a huge company, right? KLM में क्या करेंगे? They will build new application for check-in experiences for KLM. I told him, do you realize what opportunity you are selling to candidates? That if a candidate come and join your company, they will be able to work on an application that impacts 170 million customers every year. Now saying that versus saying you will work on one of the largest airline service provider. You know, you're not taking a name, but you are translating that into a language that candidate would give, really want to hear about. And that's where your recruiter's hat needs to change into marketeer's hat. So think about what is the value proposition you are selling to them. And that's where your conversation goes different from what is your current salary, expected salary, joining date, how many years of experience you have in this, to that, okay, let's talk a little bit about yourself, what is the role that we have, and how you can excel and match your career aspirations. If you want to really invest in those conversations, that's where employer branding is there. Raise of hands if you have used any of these phrases in your job advertisement. How many of you have seen "We are a great place to work" thing? How many of you know exciting career opportunity? उसके नीचे कभी subtext नहीं लिखा होता है ये exciting क्यों है? But it's an exciting career opportunity. When I started newly in recruitment, we used to give out these standard email templates. हर email template में पहला चीज, this is an exciting job opportunity. I used to ask ये exciting क्यों है? नहीं यार ये तो लिखना है आपने को बस. Now, if imagine every candidate getting the same email from all the recruiters saying it's an exciting job opportunity. What does it mean? It becomes a spam. It becomes a spam. The point, if you are able to decode this, भाई क्यों exciting opportunity है? Then that's where your conversations become more value add. This is where the employer brands. How many of you heard people are our greatest assets? And the next day you will see they are laying off their people. Yeah, my favorite. We are a family. We are a family. And again, next day, due to market headwinds and all of that, we are restructuring, and some of you might have to. कहाँ गई भाई family? Family में तो ऐसे थोड़ी किसी को ऐसे ही जाने देते हैं नहीं. I hate the word "we are family." I'm sorry if I'm offending anyone. We are a team. Teamwork, when the team is successful, if it doesn't work, you're not a team, then you are letting go, right? Innovation, work-life balance, great people, freedom, blah, blah, blah. कोई भी tech company का उठा के career side देख लो, you will find all those keywords. Then if I'm a candidate, I'm getting, it's the same thing. Like, it's the same, soon papdi, यहाँ का यहाँ, यहाँ का वहाँ. As simple as that, right? So this is where it's an opportunity for you when you talk to your candidates. For God's sake, use these words, but find इसके पीछे क्या है. Why we are a great place to work? Not because someone has certified us, because our people are telling us and we have data to show. We have an exciting career opportunity because GoDaddy is opening new office in Pune, where you will be able to work on core applications where you will impact over 21 million customers. That is when you translate these into meaningful statements. So last time, one of the business leaders came to me and said, "Yaar, let's do something viral. मजा नहीं आ रहा है employer branding में, कुछ वायरल बनाते हैं, जैसे वो एक कंपनी का ऐसा था वैसा था, तब तक अपना एम्प्लॉयर ब्रांडिंग नहीं होगा, राइट? वायरल करते कुछ. Problem is virality, like the real word viral, is also toxic, because your virality can be very negative as well, right? Now imagine again, you get an amazing reel about your company saying, oh, we got amazing fantastic people, these are the people, सब लोग pool खेल रहे हैं, सब लोग मजे कर रहे हैं, there is a party that is happening on Friday, and one of the candidates in that video is actually was on the notice period and joins another company, put a LinkedIn post. उसके नीचे उसका वो वीडियो आता है जहाँ पे वो पहली वाली कंपनी में मजे कर रहा है. Now people will actually look at his post, तो भाई इतना अच्छा कंपनी तो तुमने छोड़ा क्यों? वो बोलेगा यार मेरे कॉर्पोरेट टीम ने बोला था वो वीडियो में जाने के लिए. The point is, if it is beyond employer branding, नीचे बहुत कुछ होता है. Unfortunately, we only get to see the tip of the iceberg. One of my earlier managers came, अरे क्या ये सिर्फ design, ये सब, this is all just about design, कुछ अच्छे colors डालो, कुछ अच्छे videos ये करो. And then I gave him an answer to which he never even asked me the question next time, ki, what is employer branding? Because I showed him everything that's here. That includes your strategy, internal communications, EVP development. What is your business objective? Even your business objective defines your employer branding. What are you trying to do? Why people should come to you and work? Just, बाकी कुछ मत करो. Just next week, when you get an opportunity, write one pager about why candidates should join your client or your organization. Or better thing, even as a staffing partners or recruiters, just write one pager why recruiters join your company. And the kind of thinking that you will have to do with all of these things, including reputation management, including cultural alignment, including DEI, employee engagement, you will start to unravel कि मुझे ये सब भी करना पड़ता है. It is not just about posting happy employees. Unfortunately, this is what we get to know for, but this is the work that all of us do. And this is as core to business as recruitment is. And this is where we need to partner. Employer branding, recruitment, HR needs to partner together. So again, in my earlier organization, when the layoff happened, we actually worked with the staffing partners to create a FAQ document. कि जब candidates पूछेंगे कि हमारे यहाँ layoff क्यों हुआ, I have FAQ created, and we did that based on our EVP and strategy. We were very transparent to them why we did layoff and what is the road path ahead. And our agency and staffing partners actually helped us to deliver that message. So they were partners to us. So there are a lot of ways that so I'll now share some examples of how this is communicated. And I'm not going to show some very viral videos, because to me those viral videos will only give you 6 seconds of virality. उसके बाद लोग भूल जाते हैं. Or they become meme, which has nothing to do with why people join your organization. If you go to netflix.com/jobs, this is a Netflix deck that they have prepared about the values. How many of you know the values of the organization you are hiring for? Exactly. That's the first starting point. What are the values that you have? Netflix clearly says these are the values. One of that, they actually say, if you are an average performer, will give you a very good compensation to say bye-bye. Very clearly in their deck. They openly tell, अगर आपका performance average है, तो will give you a handsome golden handshake. That means they're telling us we'll not tolerate average performance. And that's employer branding as well. Because you need to understand कि कौन से लोग कौन सी company में successful होंगे. And your role is not to attract everyone. Your role is to attract right people at the right time. So again, go through, Netflix is a very good example in a way that they talks about their culture and philosophy. Again, we have seen amazing job descriptions jahan pe we just list 15, 20 skills or experiences, but very rarely anyone goes through it. This was my chief product officer of my earlier organization, and just read his pitch. Do you want to drive meaningful impact over 400 million monthly active users? Do you want to work on bleeding edge AI products? Do you want to work alongside with the industry basically? This is the value proposition we created. And it was this thing that attracted a lot of people when we went to ISB. Because they wanted to work on this. This is not, we are the greatest social media organization. No, that means nothing to employees or candidates. Decoding what makes your organization different, attractive, and successful is the first step in employer branding. If you don't have it, then social media pe dalo, meetups karo, ad de do, PR ke saath kaam karo, nothing else gonna work. Another example, and I love this job ad. This is a JD where the recruiter is sharing why you should join and why you should not join. Have you seen any JD जहाँ पे कभी ऐसे लिखा है why you should not join? Yes, absolutely. Employer branding is also about knowing whom we do not want to attract. So they're clearly saying if you want an office hustle culture, do not join us. Looking for 300 growth, YOY, do not join us. We grow sustainably. Only want to sell SaaS software, background verification service and has ops, do not join us if you want this. This is also building a brand because you have to come, and same for your, even for your agency work or your staffing partnership, or how do you communicate that to your client, which is corporate and other companies? Why should they not work for you? Do you have something like this, that if you just want candidates with kilo ke bhav and it's a rat race, do not work with us. There are some staffing partners are very clear that we want to be a partner with you, really understand your work, the kind of quality that you want to work with together, the kind of intel that we bring. But for that, again, you need to be very clear in terms of what you bring onto the table. And the last thing is, if you don't tell, no one will ever know. How many of you feel that you are a great organization? Come on, how many of you feel you're a great organization? I'm sure all of you think that you're a great organization. But if you do not tell, no one will ever know. As simple as that. Arey, kya hua?
Well, that's good to see. Team Talisman knows that you're a great organization. Everybody raised their hand. Huh? That's great, man.
Can someone come and share about why do they think they are a great organization? Can someone pitch me your organization? That why I should or anyone should work for you?
Talisman, yeah, let's go. I'm coming. Bazian, I'm coming to you, man. Let's go.
My whole team is over here, so I'll let them only speak because why I think our company is doing great. And as a company, we give our entire team, entire platform to grow. We give them the flexibility, we give them, boss, this is your company, you grow, we will grow. That platform is created, that value is created, and that is why most of our team members have a long stint in the organization. Some of them are quite new, but most of our team members are quite old. And Junaid started with me when he was 21 years old, today is 32. and he's growing with the company, and so many of our other team members also. We're a full women power team. Though you're seeing quite a few boys over here, but otherwise on our 50-member team, we have 42 girls.
That's great. Thank you so much. Anyone else want to pitch about your organization?
Yeah, so I think Junaid is like, he going to be speaking. It's been 13 years, 14 years associated with, oh, that's great. Can we have a big hand? Yaar, kya baat hai? Please stand.
So I started with this organization after 2.5 years of experience in multiple organizations. I started as a client place HR, then I have grown in the company from recruitment to all the other positions, and today I'm leading the payroll vertical of my organization. So there's always flexibility to do the job, There's no bickering from the top management about small things. There's no hand-holding kind of a thing where, I have to be answerable on a day-to-day basis. It's my baby, I have to nurture it, I have to grow it. So that's kind of an independence is there with the organization. Plus, it's always happy, like, if you have a family function, you have an emergency, you can always go out and do the things. So basically, that's your department, you manage however you want to do it, and it does not interfere in the day-to-day operations for that. Okay. So that flexibility and freedom is always there in the organization.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. Okay, so I have some examples. I think someone talked about what kind of content we should look at it. So this is a video where we asked our engineering manager to pitch why software engineers should join GoDaddy.
Hello guys, I am Sudhir Miglani, Senior Engineering Manager at GoDaddy, working here from last 1.5 years. In the past, I have worked with major tech companies and a few startups where I got the chance to create products from scratch which are being used by millions of users. Here at GoDaddy, I lead a reseller portal team within the commerce org unit where our mission is clear: to empower resellers and merchants with the tools they need to keep their businesses running smoothly. What drives you? For me, to enable small entrepreneurs bring their business online is my motivation. Even a shopkeeper or a dry cleaner can buy a domain, create website, set up payments, and make it live all in minutes with our AI technology, GoDaddy Aero. The best part about GoDaddy is that every employee, no matter the level, is part of GoDaddy family and is always treated with respect. Actually, you don't have to just go with my words. Talk to any person working at GoDaddy and you will learn about our culture. I feel proud and boast about our culture and innovation at GoDaddy. In India itself, we have grown massively over last 1 year and we are still growing very fast. If you want to be part of this growth trajectory, just go ahead and apply.
With full transparency, this video was made before I came in. That's why you see word family. But from now onwards, we're not using that word. This is another video that we created to showcase how we onboard the fresh employees. So in the end, I just wanted to put some key messages of what employer branding means to each one of you. I think if you are a corporate and TA member, it is really a strategic tool to attract and also retain talent. If you do not tell the story of your organization even to existing employees, why would they continue to be with you, right? This is, again, why is it important is it drives the quality and cost and speed for hire. Because you don't, I'll give you, again, very simple example. At GoDaddy, one of the biggest source of hire, in fact, the biggest source of hire is our career page. Not LinkedIn, not Naukri, not third-party agency, is our career page. Because that shows the brand attraction. That means everyone knows about, at least our target people know about GoDaddy. If you are helping your client or yourself to build that kind of a brand where you become a strategic partner to drive down the cost, it reflects your authentic culture. It needs cross-functional ownership. It can't be done alone with you. You need TA, HR, marketing, and you have to build measurable impact, either through reduction of cost, getting more quality of hires, their retention, and so on and so forth. If you're a staffing agency, you're not just recruiters, you are the ambassador of that brand communication. When you talk to the candidates and represent your client, you need to really understand your client's employer brand. And obviously that sometimes it's not easy as it seems, but this is where you can work with them, and there are multiple RPOs and agencies who actually today do this. That means they are your strategic partners, and you're not just one of the so many service provider. That also means that you need to align your pitch messages to EVP, work with market and client candidate feedback to your client, and elevate candidate experience. If you are a college or a placement cell, then it helps to shape your students' perception that why I should join X company versus Y when they come to campuses. I'll again give you one example. In my earlier company, we actually did multiple workshops in our target colleges where we showed them what a typical product manager does, so that when they come to for hiring, they already know what is the role of product manager and what differentiates our product manager role than that of others. So it helps your employers to engage. Also, I think for colleges and placement cells, it's a great opportunity for you to engage with your end clients, encourage culture and growth stories, communicate that to your students, give employee feedback from students. So it's a two-way communication. What are the students saying about your organization? Which are the brand that they would like to work, and use that brand and not just CTC, so that you don't just get a day one slot or day zero slot because you're offering more. Because your brand dictates where your stand is. This is just an example of, there is a consulting in Bangalore called Olive Green Consulting, and they actually worked with a startup in Bangalore to set up their employer brand as a reputation. So that also involved not just recruiting, but they started right from day one to interview some of the business leaders, HR people, help them to build HR policies, get a lot of focus group discussion, working with leadership to understand the priorities, and then build the holistic strategy of how we should attract and hire, rather than just becoming a partner for sourcing candidates. So again, there are some these strategic human HCM kind of firms who do this as a special service, add-on service to their recruitment. Now, these are your opportunities, whether you are again in corporate or in agency. Every step of recruitment today is your opportunity to weave in the employer brand, right from your job descriptions. Again, leave exciting job descriptions. How many of you have actually seen the content of why someone should join that organization in the job description? Do you add that content in the job description? 1, 2, 3, right? There's so much of opportunity. Your job description is a sales tool and marketing tool. Remember, it is no more, I think, just going back to the earlier presentation, it is now about marketing and sales as well, not just processing candidates, what Kurjit said. Right into, what happens in the recruitment communication. Again, very simple example. When you interview, send out a mail for interviewing a candidate, that's also your opportunity to brand your organization. Hey, you're going to for an interview with XYZ. By the way, do you know that hiring manager has actually worked or given a speech in this forum at this stage? That's also another way for you to tell them that, hey, tomorrow if you're going to work with that person, you also get an opportunity to develop your career. Every communication and touch point of candidate can actually become an employer brand or recruitment marketing opportunity. That also includes even people who leave the organization. Alumni become a really good tool for that. Just another example of employer branding for freshers. This is a job description. This is a post that we did in ISB when we went there and said, we create a hackathon called Problem Solving as a Product Manager. Where we went over there, we created a workshop of what it's like about working as a product manager, and come and join us. That includes a live case study, a challenge, and if you do that, we actually give you get an opportunity for pre-placement interview. So you're not just coming here because of the compensation and like what all of that does. You will come here because you're really excited to work with us. And again, these are some of the videos that we created.
I've been really in a privileged situation to attend the live session organized by ShareChat in the campus.
As a part of that, the team delivered an amazing presentation where they talked about what the team does, who their key users are, and how they're working to continuously enhance the user experience on the platform.
Apart from academic knowledge,
I'll skip this in the interest of time, but yeah, this is the last, this is what I truly believe, right? As a recruiter, you have to think like a marketer, act as a hunter, but be human at the end of the day. Whether you are an agency recruiter or a corporate recruiter, doesn't really matter. If you're not putting a marketeer's hat on you, you will be outdated. AI is there to do most of your admin work, which you would be able to do. What it won't be able to do is storytell, build that human connection, build that really why you should join my organization. That sell will only happen human to human. That will not happen through email, right? And lastly, your talent is your true employer brand. If your employees becomes an advocate of how great my organization is, believe me, half of your job is done because they're already selling your organization, right? So with that, I'll take a stop. Happy to take any questions, folks. Maybe for 5 minutes. Can someone give?
All right, I'm coming. So please introduce yourself, then you can go ahead with the question. Yeah.
Thank you, Manish. My name is Manish. I am a headhunter. We do leadership hiring. Sarang, what happens is when you do discovery calls, especially with hiring managers, with couple of my clients, since they are global MNCs, you have a umbrella culture that they promote and propagate. But in my personal experience, I feel I focus a lot on hiring manager. Discovering what is it that he is looking for or she is looking for, and often it is different from their own EVP, corporate EVP. So in your 2 decades of experience, have you devised a kind of questionnaire, discovery questionnaire for people who are from HR background who can use it to probe more to get the relevant components of EVP in such discovery calls?
Yeah, so in a lot of organizations where EVP is already defined, actually we can use those pillars of EVP as a discovery question. So let's say in my last organization, we used to say that working on complex problems at scale is one of the EVP pillars. So we used to ask the same question: by working on this project or in business unit, will a candidate get an opportunity to work on complex problems and scale? If yes, how and why it will excite it? So I completely understand there is an umbrella culture and there is a hiring manager culture. But if you see there is a big disconnect in between, I think there is an internal problem. Because in what you propagate externally is not consistent with what you see down. There will always be some difference on the ground versus what is umbrella culture. But it should not be so different that tomorrow, because at the end of the day, you are hiring for organization and not for a hiring manager. He's working for hiring manager Aaj, but after 3 years, he might work on someone else. So you want to hire as a recruiter for the org and not for hiring manager. So in a way, there is a way, but it's just that the hiring manager should also be cognizant that they are not hiring them as a personal property for my team. They are hiring for an organization because you want people to know that you can actually grow in this organization despite the hiring manager might be someone else tomorrow.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Brahme. That was a very thought-provoking session. Can we have a big hand? Thank you for showing us the importance of employer branding. And rightly said, if you look good online, so hold on, we've got a small ritual to do with you. Can I hold this laptop for you? Perfect. So may I request the Executive Vice President and the Chief People Officer at Times Pro, Mr. Dr. Brilliant SK, to join us on stage to present a memento to Mr. Sarang Brahme. Come on, people, can I have more energy in the vicinity? Thank you so much. So yes, if you look good online, then only you'll be able to get good talents, and that's absolutely right. So thank you so much for showing us the real importance of the employer branding.